Parenting is like climbing a mountain. In parenting, you relax. Is it clear? Number one, I wanted you to know it's like mountain climbing. And in mountain climbing, I wanted you to know 7 features. That number one, parenting will end. Our watoto wenye tuko now, right now, will not parent them forever. And therefore, if you can do it once, I usually say do it once and do it well. My son, ako class 8 right now. Kako 14 years. I'm giving him around 12 years from now. He will not be with me. He'll be living on his own. My daughter, second born daughter, Jewel, ako 12 years. Kwa nampatia kitu 13 years, nika cute. So hata nikape 11. Au kataolewa mapema. Is it okay? So I know she's on her way out. Jasmine, ako 4 years, so that one will be with us. But the truth of the matter is, they are on transit. So anytime you have something on transit, you do it to the level best that you can. So I want to request you, ladies and gentlemen, hii career yenye tunafanya, because I know majority of you are in your career world. In a career world, we do it until we die. But parenting is not like that. You do it once and you do it well. The second thing I also wanted to say is that your skills determines your ease. It is an art. Parenting is an art. You see, and I have always said this, the majority of us who are drivers here, they will tell you, your driving skills can save you a whole mess. In parenting, we think we can guess it out. In this one, you don't guess it out. If you can learn as much as you can. And the things you learn from this session, I'm so sure you realize that there are so many things you never knew. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 10 in Asemanga, any person who wants to sharpen, to cut a tree, if the knife is not sharpened, a lot of energy is used. But if it is sharpened, little energy is required. So one of the things I want to invest in you is the parenting skills. Na kuna mzazi mmoja atakuwa akiongea hapa, nataka msikie video. You realize the child committed suicide. It's a video I want you to listen. And this parent is regretting, saying, I wish I knew 1 or 2 or 3 issues. I think we'll be watching that video immediately. Number 3, one thing about parenting is that it gets tougher as you climb high. As you climb high, it gets tougher. In fact, I thought I told you of a story of my son. When we put up, I think I told you this story of how I was called to my son's school last year. Because my son is a very good performer. Actually, nimewambia kwa class 8. But my son's performance ikaanza to decline. So when I went to the school, I'm very close to him. Nikamuuliza, Jeremy, nimeitwa hii shule. For the first time I've been called to your school that your performance, umetoka kutoka position 2 mpaka position 15. Jeremy, what could be the problem? We are very close with him. Akaniambia, Dad, situtembee kwa kiwanja niende nikikwambia. I told him, my son, let's walk. Akaniambia, Dad, unajua, kuna kasichana kaliletwa hii shule kalitransfer kutoka shule nyingine. Daddy, nimeshindwa kuconcentrate. Kakafunga macho hivyo nikajua. Ukiona mwanaume amefunga macho, hiyo kitu imemlemea. Then I remembered, my son is now 13. And every time a man clocks 13, a boy clocks 13, there is a hormonal imbalance in us boys called testosterone. Testosterone causes your sexual arousal to be very high. Actually, what testosterone does, the hormone inakuanga tu imenyamaza kwa boy from 0 to 12 at around 60 or 70%, because it is the testosterone that brings out the male characteristics in a boy. Akishafika 13, can you imagine the hormone multiply from 60 to 600%? So nikauliza, my son, are you masturbating? Yes, Daddy. Najikuta nikiguza my penis once in a while. Are you wet dreaming? Yes, Daddy. So nikajua my son's msichana ni kama atamuaffect. Then I told my son, I think I'm to blame because as your dad, I should have talked to you about the changes the boys are experiencing. So nikamwambia, around me, tutaenda kuambia udijo ama teacher akupatie ruhusa kesho, twende nayo over the weekend, you'll find me prepared for. Manze nikaenda town nikanunua charts za production, pennies. I wish you saw me buying those things. Then as we are going back to tell the teacher, akaniambia, wewe ambia teacher shida ni meno. Nikamwambia, son, deal. Ni meno, lakini tukienda tunajua shida ni hapo chini. Is it okay? As we are going, I told my son, can I see the kagal? The kagal kakakuja, wacha niwaambie hata mimi kama the dad. Hata mimi ningelemewa. Is it okay? That's what I'm talking about. The higher you climb, the more the challenges. But we'll be talking about that. Number 4 is that parenting requires strength. It comes with a lot of shocks. I'll be teaching you, there are some books I'm reading on how children become homosexuals. And I'll be teaching you on how children become lesbians. You know, with the current challenges we are in, kuna mzazi alikuja jana kwa ofisi yangu, tulikuwa tunaongea na yeye. He found the son kwa room yake akitaka to commit suicide because he was sodomized in one of the biggest schools in this country. But the parent, you know, in parenting you must be ready for shocks. The children you see who appears to be very normal can come up with several things, and that's why I'm talking about that. Parenting is not for cowards. In parenting is in phases. Lakini nikakumbuka nikiwaambia in phases that as a parent you are supposed to be able to transit in 4 phases. The first phase is parent as a hope or a command. I call them the forces of parenting. For example, Jiwe right now ako 12 years. Jasmine ako 4. For those 2 of them, I am a commander. To those things, I usually put rules in my house. I want you to do this because of this. I don't want you to do this because of this. So at this particular age, when you talk about between 12 years and below, you are supposed to be a strict parent. Because if you don't set the rules very well, then you set a very poor foundation. I usually tell people, any person who is building a house, they know very well. If walls have cracks, you can repair walls, but you can never repair foundations. Mtoto akishafika age 12, you are not supposed to be a commander again. You are supposed to be a person we usually call a coach. So you like now for me, my son, hata kushinda nikimpatia sheria hapo, it will not help him. Actually, it may even hurt him the more. So right now I'm coming and telling him, my son, I want to clarify some things. So at this particular time, sasa venye alikuwa ananiambia ati akona ka girlfriend, kukuja sasa kumwambia girls are bad. I don't think I'm helping him because that is stifling his sexuality. And I'm supposed to be introducing him to the sexual world and telling him this is what happened. So at this particular time, the man in me steps in and tells him, my son, now come. Even me when I was at this age, I was experiencing this. And I usually tell single mothers, anytime kijana yako amefika age 12, step a bit away and introduce a man into his life. Because at this particular time, the masculinity in him, if now umeingia sana kwa maisha yake, what you do, you stifle the masculinity in him. And instead of raising a warrior in him, you find yourself raising a broiler. A very weak boy who cannot be able to stand in the society. You need to know when to step in and when to do what? To step up. By the way, I was reading a book on homosexuality. What causes children to be homosexuals? I found 3 reasons. Number 1, children can be homosexuals because of choice. Mtoto achague tu, they want to be homosexuals ama lesbians. Number 2 is nurturing. The way you nurture a child, you can make them to become a homosexual. In fact, walikuwa na-explain wanasema, if you have a mother who pecks a son too much, mtoto wako every time ni kumguza hivi, wanasemanga, when this boy reaches the age of 15, and then akuwe na ka-girlfriend, and then ka-girlfriend starts romancing your son, your sons cannot feel the touch of a woman because the mother's touch are all over. So by the end of the day, the boy grows resisting women and looks for men. Chekeni tu, mimi najua what I'm talking. There's something I'll be teaching you about Oedipus complex and Electra complex. I'll come to that. Now, and alafu nyingine wakasema, and I think this is also something very much, nikasema choices, nurturing, and nature. In fact, this is the one that wanaitwaje? Gays wanatumia sana. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to release some little sciences before now we come to what I want you to know. Have you ever seen some boys who looks like girls? Ama nina huko kwetu. They are boys but they are behaving like girls. Have you ever seen some girls but they behave like tomboys? What we usually say, na hii kitu nataka mshike vizuri sana, it is because of what we usually call the hormonal imbalance. Any lady who is here, the difference between a lady and a man is this thing called the male aspect and the female aspect. The feminine aspect in a woman is driven by a hormone called estrogen and proestrogen. Hizo ndizo hormone nyingi mnakuanga nazo. Sisi, ile hormone tunakuanga nayo is called testosterone. Na unaweza kuta ka boy kakona testosterone, but the level of testosterone is very little. So that boy behaves like a girl. When the American studies started to see, American by the wao walikuja walikasema kijana akiwa na testosterone level iko chini, two things should happen to what the parent should do. A parent should act in two ways. Number one, ampeleke hosi because there kuna dawa zingine unaweza patiwa to boost what? Testosterone. Kama si hivyo, nurture him and try to remove the feminine characteristics in him. Like for example, my son, kakiwa kadogo, he used to cry too much. And then I realized this is a feminine characteristic in him. He became like garish. So what I do, I now try to shape him and bring the masculinity out of him. But that's not what I wanted to say. Mtoto akishafika saa age 12 to around 17, you become a coach. That's what I'm doing to my son. Akishafika age 8, and why do you become a coach at that particular time? Because you are not the only influence that your son or your daughter has. Like right now, my son, najua atakona mabishto wengi sana who are shaping the way he sees things. So whatever I tell him may not be the true thing. So because of that, I come now and coach him. Like right now, I'm really waiting for him so that I teach him on hizi vitu zimekuja za gazing. I think I'll be teaching you several things here as we continue. The third one, you now akishafika age 18, now he can be able to make his own decisions. We usually say he transits in 4 phases. Number one, he started with dependence. Now at age 12 to 19, he is interdependent. Now at the age of 19 to 25, he is what we usually call independent. Hapa ni sazi atakuwa ameenda campus. I have very little control of him. So at that time, I step in as a counselor. And what is the language of a counselor? You come and tell him, my son, I want to help you on the decision I wish you can make in life. Once you finish as a counselor, ameshafika age 25, sasa ni kuenda anaenda, I become what? A consultant. Is it true? Please, mnashika kwenye nasema. Can you watch one video murilax because you look like there is a problem? Can you watch one video? Now, give us a video. It's for flash. Please watch it very carefully and then we start our slide. Please know the person you are sitting next to, jua name, jua watoto wake. Just know each other for 30 seconds. Msalimie mwenye mmekaa na yeye. Jua venye anaendelea. She's a Kenyan woman. Just listen and then we pick something from there. So let's start.
That my son committed suicide. And he committed suicide on my veranda. And my 2 small children are the ones who found him. And they kept telling me, Mommy, come and see. Kuna game mbaya chichi anacheza. And it was a Sunday evening and we just had supper. And I thought that it was just one of his antics because he was a difficult boy. He became very difficult after he failed his Form 4 exams. And so finally when they kept going and coming, and I was in my room. When I went outside, I found my son hanging on my veranda. And the most wicked sight in my life is to see his tongue hanging almost up to here. Because he had...
I don't know whether you picked something. The dad is out of the picture. Did you notice something like that? What else did you pick as we get our slides? And I tell you because boys, ladies, I understand probably the marital issues could be a challenge, but when boys get 13, they are different beings in this world. If you don't bring them well, they can rebel because they are also trying to step into the authority that their fathers failed. And I have always said this, and I think itakuwa nikiwafundisha hapa, we are telling parents who have separated, if you have separated with your husband, then please, I would rather you adopt what we call co-parenting. You can parent together while still living separate. Because it is you who differed with the husband, not your son and what? Are we okay? Now you have started mourning. Now let's go fast now because of time. Now let's start. I read something when I went to this Oshawa Primary School, I read something walikuwa wameandika kwa notice. Wacha niwasomee. Dear parents, would like to remind you that magic words such as hello, please, you are welcome, I'm sorry, and thank you all begin to be learnt at home. It is also at home that children learn to be honest, to be on time, diligent, to show friends their sympathy, as well as to show utmost respect for their elders and all the teachers. Home is also where they learn to be clean, not talk with their mouths full, and how or where to properly dispose their garbage. Home is also where they learn to be organized and to take care of their belongings. And that it is not okay to touch others. I love what wamemalizia kusema hapa. Here at school, now at Mr. Oshawa, on the other hand, we teach languages, mathematics, history, geography, physics, and sciences, and physical education. We only reinforce the education that children receive at home from their parents. Is that not powerful? Yes. Nilikuwa shule nyingine, and I don't want to say this, and sijui kama mtakuwa na hiyo session, and parents started complaining, wakasema, hii wazazi, every time nimetoka kuchinga nikinunua fulana. Kwa nini wewe kama mzazi unaitikia mtoto akuja na fulana ya mwenyewe nyumbani na unanyamaza? Next, when mnaniangalia kuna fulana zimepotea. Never forget this diagram. Nasema tu tuende pole. This diagram is what parenting is all about. This is God, this is the child, this is the parent. And I've said, a parent is not the source of the child. A parent is just but a resource. Sorry to say here, children come from God through parents. Children do not come from parents. They come from God through parents. That means these children are not ours. We are just stewards. We are just trustees. Parents are not owners but stewards or caretakers or trustees. The best way to be a steward is to understand the terms of the owner. And one thing and I think I'll be teaching you this. First of all, kitu moja najua, the children I have do not belong to me. They belong to God. There are so many parents, there are so many fathers, so many husbands and wives who cannot have children. But God has entrusted me with them. So the best I can do, it is to take care of them the way God would expect me to take care of them. So next move, because of the time, I wanted to say this parent, na hizi vitu, kama unaandika, please be taking photos. These things may come to make sense later on in life. I have said, when it comes to parenting, age is not just a number, but age is a phase. Nikasema, mtoto wa 0 to 1 years is called a baby. Mtoto wa 1 to 3 years is no longer called a baby, is called a toddler. Mtoto wa 3 to 5 years is called a preschooler. Mtoto wa 5 to 10 years is called a child. Mtoto wa 10 to 13 years is called a twin. Na hapo ndipo tutakuwa tukiongelea twin is a period between childhood and adolescence. Hapo ndipo sasa watoto wangu wawili wako. My daughter right now kako 11 years, kanaitwa Jewel. Nimeanza kuona kakitoa two boobs. That is a sign to me she's now psychologically evolving and physically evolving. Sorry for that. Number 30, akishafika 13 to 19, they are now called teenagers. 19 to 25, they are called what? Young adults. And then 25 to 30, they are called adulthood. And nikasema, you keep changing gears as your children transit. Nikamwambia, like now my daughter, when you kameanza to develop uto to boobs, now I have to realize that the interest towards boys has started developing. She doesn't need to tell me. Najua mamake atakuja na Ukristo mwingi amwambie nisikuone ukicheza na vijana. I know she will do that, which is okay to do that, to step boundaries. But also I need to enforce her. You see, na sijui kama nisema hivi mtanishika vibaya. The best I can teach my daughter right now is values about abstinence and the dangers about sexuality. But do you know I don't have control to tell her to abstain or not to abstain? Do you know I don't have that control? It is her choice. That sasa jiwe uko bado umeabstain, sawa. Because even if she has already done it, she will not tell you. Is it true? But if I can engage her positively and tell her what is sex, what are sex values, and I need to teach her before another boy teach her. Is it true? Because the boy will teach her using example and diagrams. I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, this is how the mind of a human being is. Mind ya mwanaume ya mtu yote hata yeye nyuma yangu inakuwa na two parts. The limbic system and the prefrontal cortex. Unfortunately, mnaona teenagers wakiwa na shida, mind do not develop forward backward, it develop forward backward forward. So right now all our children are using limbic system. Lakini sisi we are using what? Prefrontal cortex. The problem with limbic systems, number one, it only thinks about fun. This one thinks about fun. This one thinks about sweet things. This one thinks about immediate gratification. This one, the problem with the hapa, there is no word consequences. The word consequences inakuanga wapi? Hapa. So your children, nawaambia hizi mwende msome, mwende endeni utishe watu workplace. Na hizi maneno. Is it clear? Go and write the difference between the limbic system and what? Prefrontal cortex. There's a director who is a friend to Madam. She was telling me, Madam, the director of Starlight. Alikuwa ananiambia, the difference between my school and Jewel School, the Jewel School's parent are right. Nyinyi mmesoma. So I'm dealing with learned people. Is it clear? Is it true? When nawachukua sasa you are learned. So go and research more on this. How the effect of their child using this. She doesn't think about the consequences. No wonder, see, a girl can just wake up. There's a girl in Nakuru who just I think last year namlisikia hii story. Alifukuzwa shule kwa sababu ya nywele. Kwenda home, hana fikira ati hata akiambiwa nyolewe amaliza form 4, nywele itagrow tena. Do you know what the girl did? She committed suicide. So you heard that story? Because this one does not think of what? Of consequences. The only place, now the problem is prefrontal cortex starts developing at the age of 20. So if you don't reinforce your child's this system, they become another people. Let's go next. Tunaenda, I will come to that later. 10 signs that you have a teenager in the house. Ukitaka kujua mtoto wako sasa is no longer a child but a teenager, these are characteristics. Number one, they have lost interests with toys. Like now my daughter is no longer interested with dolls. So dolls will not, so she's now in another world. So after I drop dolls, I need now to ask, now that my daughter is not interested with dolls and my son is not interested with toys, what is going through their mind? Number two, they no longer think you know everything. In fact, they question you. Hata kuna saa zingine my daughter ananiambia, "Mimi David sionangi kama saa zingine unajuaga venye unasema." I don't know why she says it. Number three, they no longer tell you everything. In fact, a lot of time kuna tu vitu. You know girls, the good thing about girls, they journal a lot. Wanaandikanga tu vitu sana. Hata like right now ukienda kwa bedroom ya my daughter ameandika Jewel's bedroom, knock before you enter. Because that means she has started looking for privacy. Sasa ukidhani unamjua utakuja kushangaa sana, there so many things you do not know. The fourth one is that they start developing their own what? Taste. How many times have we differed with my son? Tukienda naye pahali, unaona venye kamevaa. Unajua kuna trouser zingine zinakaa ni kama hizi trouser zinakaa ni kama in fact ndio hizi. Thank you sir for well. Unaenda na my son in an official occasion, anavaa hii trouser. Unajua? No, you're okay sir, you're okay. You see? Sasa namwambia si my son, si tunaenda official hapana daddy, unaona sasa ameanza kuwa moody. Why? They start developing what? Their own taste. Number 5, the tantrum returns. Na hapo ukiwa mzazi ukikosa kucontrol very well, this is how they manage you. Anajifanya amekasirika, now you continue giving in. Did I tell you of a story that shocked me a lot in a supermarket called TRM? Siku moja nimeenda TRM just the way you can go to a supermarket. I can't remember nilikuwa nimeenda kununua nini. Kaboy, I think around 7, 8, 9, 10. Mamake sijui, I think mimi tu nilikuwa nasikia boy akisema Oreo. I think the mother refused to buy the boy Oreo. Do you know what the boy did? Unajua hizi mera mainisi kauro. Kauro, you know them? Sahani za kauro. Alienda kwa chef moja akaziangusha zote hivi. The mother paid around 98,000. Na mother anamwambia, the boy is the one raising the parents. The parents are not the one. So you need to be careful. Don't allow your children to throw what? Tantrum and anakuthrow tantrum. Na mnakwambia hutalala kwa kina Jemo siku 2. Basi lala siku 10. Another one is called they model the exaggerated teenagers they see on television. So So utakuta hata like there is a time I saw my daughter dancing in a very funny way. So unajua ladies kuna venye mnashika meza. Then I realized she's starting modeling other. So at this time, if you don't take care, they have a model they follow very keenly. Another one, like my daughter hata nishtuka sana. Me, I'm not even in, is it called TikTok? But she's already there dancing to people. So if you don't take care, then you realize they're in the world of their own. And then they start dabbling in social media, they care more about their appearance, they grow physically. Unakuta mtoto wako ameanza kutoa. So they unakuta she has just grown like a sugar cane very quickly. And then they start doing things that you had no idea you knew about. Next move on, there's somewhere I want to. Key factors that determines a parent's success. Kama unataka kusucceed at this level, na tunaenda polepole, mimi sina vio na nyinyi. Number one, your understanding matters a lot. Proverbs 24 verse 1, 2, and 3, by wisdom a house is built. And it's a how we verse. You don't build a house, you don't build a family with anything other than what? Wisdom. And I'll give you a very good example, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, the story of Lot. If only Lot understood that nikileta watoto wangu Sodom. Yes, Sodom is a good city in terms of investment, but it's not a good city in terms of raising what? Children. Kwa sababu kulikuwa na uovu mwingi sana, but Lot never had the understanding to understand that. So wisdom hapa ni very much important. Number two is your parenting style. And I think I'll be talking about that. Number three is teamwork. Sorry to say, I'm not blaming that lady. The boy has already committed suicide, but you realize the lady has not mentioned the husband in her. So it's like she was struggling with the boy on her own. They differed with the husband, but now she never had anybody to tell her. Ukiona boy ameanza withdraw, do ABC. Ukiona kijana ameanza kujiachilia, you know, they are what we usually call the characteristics of depression. Vitu kama hizo. Number four, the school. And I think I'll be talking about that as I try to build why it is always good to know, because some of you may even be thinking of transferring from this school. And I'll be telling you some of the things you need to take before you take that decision. Number five is what? Your neighborhood. Neighborhood here, I'm talking about ile estate unakaa. How do children behave there? What are the values there? Watoto wenye ni mabeste wa watoto wako, what do they believe in? That is very much important. Number 7. Me and her, we have differed. But why should I bring rejection to my own children? So you can imagine what I'm talking about. By the way, I would want you to go, thank God when I started this issue about training on families, God helped me to read the book of Genesis. Because that Genesis, the word Genesis means genes. Gene, the word Genesis, there is gene. That is where genealogy and generations began. So you realize there is a time already rejected, a man, Abraham rejected mtoto wa mpango ya kando alikuwa anaitwa nani? This is God telling him, go, I can hear Ishmael crying in the wilderness. So don't reject your children. So many children here, you see, in fact, by the kuna video ingine nataka muwatch hapa munikumbushe. One of the cases that made me to be a bit known in this country was a case I handled in Karura of this boy called Warungi. Did you remember a boy called Warungi who killed the dad, who killed the mother, who killed the nephew, and the one who did the family counseling? Unajua na mtaonyesha hiyo, munikumbushe nionyeshe hiyo video before tutoke hapa. You realize by the end of the day, the brother right now, that boy Warungi is still in prison right now. But the reason as to why wamemfungia kwa sababu up to date he has threatened to kill the two sisters he never killed. Now the boy psychologically he is okay. He has never taken drugs, but anasema the way my parents brought me in bitterness, I will revenge by wiping out everyone. Mutasikiza because there is a video I would want you to listen. Saa zile kina watu wa Citizen walienda kwa kina Warungi home, they found him reading two books. One of the books is called Killing Eve, How to Murder People You Love Without Feeling Remorseful. You grow with children who are very bitter. They come and turn against you. Hiyo ingine, please be careful also not to overexpose your children. Watoto wa siku hizi, they are very much exposed. I was telling my wife, please, I'm talking to all the ladies. Ladies, I know, my dress, my choice. Wanaume najua, affairs are on the increase. But please, let's not expose to our children to things that their mind has not fully grown to see. For example, and please mimi naongelesha na heshima sana. Assume your husband does not work around. Anytime you bring men in your house, your sons can see. In fact, I love something another single lady told me, akaniambia, even if I was to date a man, I would never bring a man in what? In my house. Hii house, it is for me and my children. Lakini sasa your children wanaona tu wanaume wakigia moja. Made kila wamure. Tuesday ndio wamnono. Your children are wondering. And then the ladies, I also wanted to request, mimi naongelesha like a person of your age. The way you dress matters a lot. There's a time I have told my wife so many times, the miniskirt you're wearing, remember my son is now around 13 years old. His sex curiosity is very high. So unavaa miniskirt which is okay kwa nyumba, but my son akikuchungulia, kwani unataka my son aone uchi yako? Sijui kama mnashika what I'm talking about. Na mnaona kitambo, mimi ama Kikuyu, so probably I may talk from our central province. Wamama wakivaa vitu short siku hizo walikuwa wanafunga nini? Lakini sasa siku hizo unaona lady, mkato hapa. Akisha inama hivi unaona center of gravity kila kitu. It's not good. I request you take care of that children. Next move. Kuna kitu tumeacha hapo ni kumaliza tunamaliza. And also don't train children who have disregard and disrespect for elders and other children. Ati mtoto wako anaweza tusi mwalimu, anaweza ongelesha mwalimu rude, and you have nothing to talk about that. No wonder alikuongelesha hivyo. Yes, grow up. My son was right. Yes, teacher, grow up. You can't talk like that. It is not right. But I'll be talking about that. Can we move a bit faster than that? Take my phone. Please take this photo. Take this photo very quickly. Parenting perfectly. This is the meaning of the word perfect, parent, and this is what I'll be speaking to you about. About R? Relational. What about E? Environment conscious. What about N? Nature values. What about T? Team prayer. What about S? Sacrament. Let's go one by one. Sasa hapa ndipo sasa tunaingia. Sasa next. Move on. Next. Ladies and next move on. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, anytime God blesses you with a child, touch these three areas of your child. You are good to go. Touch their soul, touch their spirit, and touch their body. All my three children, he knows them. I have made sure that these areas are addressed. Let's start with the spirit. Na nikasema number one, the word proactive means you are not reacting. It is a person who is controlling a situation rather than just responding to. You know, when you become the reactive parent, unangojanga mtoto wako sasa atakuwa na shida, you now step in. But a proactive parent does what? He takes charge even before their children get into the problem. Let's start with the spirit. What is the role of a parent when it comes to the spiritual life of their children? Number one, the parent directs. I call them the 3 Ds. The parents direct their children on the way to go. Proverbs 22 verse 6 nasemanga aje, train your children on what? On the way to go. That means there is a way that your children should follow. So direct them. Hata kama hutaki kuendangi church. And I have taught so many parents like this. Even if you don't go to church, take your children to church. Wewe mwenyewe zako ulisoma, wewe wacha wakae huko. Do they miss church, my children? No. They cannot. However busy I am, they cannot. Because there is something that God can deal with them. Luke chapter 2 verse 42, and the child Jesus grew in wisdom, in stature, in favor with men and who? Let them go and discover God on their own. Kuna kitu nitaonyesha hapa. Mugo, are you able to run very quickly? Enda tu ndio naonyesha kitu I saw somewhere that is happening in Illuminati. Wewe enda haraka Mugo, acha. Haraka Mugo, what's wrong? You go Mugo, what's wrong Mugo? It's not there. Fine, go back. I'll show them. There's something I want to show you. I saw in Illuminati. I'll show you something before to manage it. Go. Yeah, fine. So number one, what is the role of a parent? They direct. Number two is they drive their children. You know, what does it mean you drive? You are not the one who can command them on the ways of God. So zingine hata mkikaa home, kwa this book, one of the chapter I have taught in this book, Parenting Without Stress, is called Having Successful Family Devotion. So zingine tunakanga home na naambia watoto wangu, I may not be a good preacher, but let's listen to this preacher with you. Let's listen to this song together. So I take the driving force or stage of my children. The third one is what? Disconnect. You remember, and I have always told this, every family has 2 people. It has ancestors and it has descendants. Every family. Like now my children are what? My descendants. My grandfather are what? My ancestors. If there is a spirit in our family that probably is affecting my, like, is it jana nilikuwa na katoto Kamulanga High School, mtoto na imagine aliingia hiyo shule na 4-1. Imagine amekutwa na mamake akitaka kujinyonga mara 3. So when I called the mother yesterday akaniambia, me Paul, I know if I don't deal with this issue I lose my son this year. Last year my 3 brothers died kujinyonga. Then I realized I'm not dealing with a psychological issue. This is a family issue. So what is the work of the parent? Disconnect your children from any wrong spirit that is going through your family. Unaangalia kwenye watu wote wanaitwa mwangi, lazima wakunywe pombe. Aka kako, every time kakienda kwa supermarket, kanakunywa tu Stone na Crest. Na hiyo ni wine. Inajiita. Hakunywa Fanta, kanataka vitu bita. I'm not saying that when your children are taking Crest, they need to be pure. I am only saying, your role is to do what? To disconnect. Because I don't know about other tribes, but as in our Kiku community, our children inherit the names of our grandfather. And you know the power of our name. Is it clear? Yes. So you are the one to do that. What is the role of a parent when it comes to the emotion, to the soul of a child? The soul houses 3 things. The soul houses emotions, it houses the heart, and it houses the intelligence. Ukisikia the soul of a man. What are you supposed to do when it comes to the emotions of your child? Number one, make sure that you create in your children something that is called emotional balance. Mtoto wako ni wakukasirika haraka, help him deal with anger as early as possible. Like my daughter alikuanga na hiyo, akikasirika my daughter haongeleshi watu, anaorganisha vitu hivyo, nikaambia my wife, there's something wrong here. Let's help our daughter to deal with what? With an other siku moja tutaitiwa mtoto shule ameonga mtoto, something happens. Another thing you need to help your children deal with is esteem. Isikuwe mtoto wako wewe ndio unamuweka chini. Ama kuna watu, sorry to say this, some of our children, like me, by the way, look at me. I know you may not know. Look at my ears, masikio. Have you realized? My skills ziko well. No, look at me. Havile masikio yangu hapa kuna venye imekuja ikaenda hivyo. Do you know this thing ilifanya nikuwe ridiculed sana shule? Because walikuwa nasema ati masikio kiti. So walimu kuna katama ka shule yetu kalikuwa kanaitwa Kamena. Mwalimu alikuwa anakuja anauliza, "Do you have any empty chairs?" "Yes, 2." Karaoke si upeane viti nao they need. So naenda home. I wish ungenikuta home. Nikiweka sellotape. So it is you to know how to build what? The esteem of what? Your child. Pengine there are people who are using his or her body to what? To do what? To intimidate. Mnaweza cheka mkiwaambia, but I know what I'm talking about. Number 2 is also take care about their mind. The mind of a person which is housed by the soul has 3 most important things. Number 1, their intelligence. Number 2, their exposure. Number 2, their schooling. And number 3, by the way, let me tell you, I go to so many schools. Madam knows this. One of the advantage mmefanya na mtakuja kunikumbuka by just choosing jiwe. Na hii mtakuja kunikumbuka. If I was here, why I would choose this school over any other? And I'm not marketing, madam. When your school is not overpopulated, the advantage inakuanga moja. The child attention from a teacher is 100% absolute. Sasa mnaenda shule yenye kuna watoto 200. When will the teacher mark every child's work? When will the teacher observe a child and know them? Wacha niwaambie, sisemi ati shule isijae, but as things are right now, this is the best environment to bring your child to. Let's clap for ourselves because of this. The third one is what I'm calling the heart. Mtoto anakuanga na heart. Teach them to love themselves, teach them to serve others, teach them to be honest, and teach them virtues. Ingine ya mwisho, which I have said, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Hii body, what are you supposed to teach your children? Number 1 is fitness. Usitikie tutoto wako then tunone abnormal. There's a time my son kalikuwa kanono. Unajua mimi I thought tutoto tunono tunaoneshanga mtu ni mdosi. So mimi nilikuwa katoto kangu kama my son kako na kitabu ngasema unaona najua kulisha watoto. I came to realize, I went to one of the schools, the director told me, "Kariuki, your talks are very good, but your children are becoming obese." Nilisikia ameniduka lakini ilikuwa ukweli. Because mtoto Monday Indomie, Tuesday afya juice, Wednesday lollipopine, Thursday Indomie, broiler. Unakuta my son that time hata ungemkimbiza, hata mtoto my son angekimbizwa na dog, maybe at the mercy of the dog. Yone hata ukibii, acha nikukulie tu hapa. My son is weak. Let me ask you, what are your children eating? How healthy are your children, ladies and gentlemen? But if you have a doctor here, they will tell you the cancer cell feeds on sugar. So the more sugar your children have on the body, the more likely that in the near future they will contact what? Cancer. Si kwako uchange diet uambie Monday mnabeba maji shule, Tuesday mnabeba maziwa, Wednesday guashi. Alafu guashi 3 nono, ufiche tu biscuit tuwili twa kuficha macho. Is it clear? That's what we do in our family. But akubeba hizi juice sugar chemicals. Why don't you give them real fruits? Mlishaka sana hata ile sukari tunakunywa iko na nini? Poison. Imagine mtoto, ni lini wewe uliona mtoto wa miaka 9 ako na kitambi? Lini? Kwa huku wote tumejaa vitambi, hata unakuja shule unadhani these are the owners. Is it clear? So can you check on the fitness of what? For the first time, ladies and gentlemen, and remember men, because I write things about boys. Our boys at 10 are not sweating. Something so abnormal. And you know, the perfume of a man is what? Is sweat. Do you know during Kitambo, ladies, our grandmothers, because our men there hakuwa na roll-on, zinaitanga roll-on, hakukuwa na perfume hizi sisi wanaume tunajipaka. What attracted women to men was what? Sweat. Alikuwa anakuja akisikia unanuka sweat anakwambia saa twende ukanioe. Do you know that? Sweat was a perfume. It is what makes a man masculine. But our boys today, because of what they are eating, do you know they are not sweating? Because they are eating a lot of poisons. I request you mkipeleka watoto nyumbani, please check on their diet going forward. My daughter mwenye ako PP1, I see my wife packing kwa shisa zingine, domasa zingine, kama kamoja boiled, lakini hizi, pizza maybe only once in a week. Na maji mostly, in fact, direct to my wife anashinda akimwambia, Jasmine, hii maji lazima umalize. Otherwise utakuta mtoto wako hapendi maji, lakini umpe soda. Anakunywa na because the body responds to what your children eat alone. Next, nimewaweka sana and then also Mungu haraka kidogo. Nitaenda haraka. There are 3 gates I want you also to guard your children on. The soul has 3 gates. What they watch, what they hear, and what they speak. Please guard those 3 things. Ukisikia mtoto wako anaongea vitu carelessly, guard it before it becomes a norm. Unasikia mtoto wako ametusi mtu, discipline that. Don't allow them to see things that are vulgar, to see pornography. Don't allow them, and don't allow them to hear things that are dirty. Mtoto wako tu anasikia venye mnatusiana kwa nyumba, they grow and characterize that. Next, because of time, gosh, authority. How can a parent, you remember a parent is an authority. I've always told you this. Any parent who has never been hated by their children has never become a parent. Remember, you are not just a friend in your house. You are what? An authority. Nilikuwa nasema, if there's a verse I love, it's Genesis chapter 2 verse 16. Hata nimewekea. Have you ever read this verse very well? Niliwaambia when I got the mandate of families, I read the book of Genesis very well. What did God tell Adam? And the Lord commanded him. So a parent in an authority is what? Commands. Sisi zote unabembeleza mtoto wako. Uendi, kai. Akisi unajua Mungu ana Mungu gani? Si uoge kofi ya yeye. Mimi kwangu saa 3 lazima mtoto wote alale. Na hatuchezi. Unchukulia tu nakula, si ulale. No. You have to be. And the Lord commanded who? As we talk. Commanded him. You may eat freely. It is true. I also don't want to become a dictator. I give some literal what? Freedom. You remember kuna mzazi nilikuwa naambia story yake, alikuwa dictator kwake. Watoto wake hawangeongea. So one day the son comes and tells Dad, is cockroach good for food? The dad slapped him. Send it! How can you talk like that when you are eating? After the dad had finished eating, the son akakuja, what are you talking about? Dad, it is too late. Your food had 3 cockroaches and you have already swallowed. We are saying, hata kama we are commanding, but there is some little freedom at home. East or west? So you may freely eat from every tree of the garden. That is what you are calling what? Freedom with what? Accountability. But you must not eat from the tree of knowledge. That is what I usually call boundaries. And how do you set boundaries in a family? Number 1, articulate the rules and regulation. Wacha watoto wako wajue, hii ni mbaya, hii ni mbaya. I don't know whether your rules are very clear. Mimi kwangu wanajua 9:30 everybody must be asleep. Number 2, there are things you don't watch. Number 3, if you are coming to the bedroom of your dad and mom, you must knock. Number 4, you must dress decently. And there are rules in my house. They are very clear. Now, as long as the children's rules are clear, they know the do's and what? And don'ts. So articulate rules. I usually call them the ABCD. Okay. ABCD. B is what? Boundaries. C is what? Consequences to instill some fear. By the lazima mzazi wote mtoto wako akue akona kauoga kadogo kwako. That's how you know you're in authority. Lakini kama mnakuanga you are ever joking together with them, they will never know that. Kuna kauoga kila mtoto anafaa kuwa nako akisikia mama akijua, daddy akijua. If they don't have that, then you have lost what? Mmeweka haraka sana. Number D is what? Decisiveness. Mungu, let's go very quickly. By the way, this man, this is a true story. Can I read for you this story? Huyu jamaa alikuwa anataka kuimprisoniwa in America. In fact, alikuwa anataka kuwekelewa kwa ile tunaitanga electric chair. Apigwa choke akufe. Akaulizwa, it's a true story. Before we kill you, is there anything you want to do? Akasema, allow me to write a letter to my mom. Let me read you a true letter. Hii letter ilifanya the whole of America psychologists were changed. Akasema, dear mom, if the law was fair today, you'd be the one seated next to me, waiting to be electrocuted in the electric chair. But since the law is blind, I've been convicted for the crimes we committed together. Mom, remember how it started. Do you remember when I was 3 years old when I stole my brother's sweets? You didn't correct him. Remember very well when I was five, the day I stole my neighbor's toy and hid it at home, you said nothing. Mom, remember when I was 12 years, I hid my cousin's ball in the garage when he had come to play with us at home. You said that you did not see it, yet you saw it. Do you remember the day I was expelled from school at 15 years? Moko, next. Dad wanted to punish me, but you refused, and that very day, you had a bitter argument with Dad about this because you are defending me. You said I was still young, and you said the teachers were wrong to say that I was not attending class. You defended me. You said I was right, yet you knew I was wrong. Mom, remember very well when you saw me steal our neighbor's bicycle when I was 17. You did not report. I sold it, but you are silent, Mom. You loved me so much, yes. You loved me, but you didn't correct me. Instead, you spoiled me. That is how it started, and it graduated slowly until today when I'll be electrocuted for bank robbery and murder. I was very young. I just needed your guidance, Mom. By the time you'll be reading this, I'll be long gone. Yours truly, my son. Please don't forget that letter. Next, Mogo. Relationship, let's go next. I think I need to teach them something very quickly. This one, back, Mogo. How do you raise boys? In case you have a boy in your family, remember this: number one, set limits and boundaries. Boys can be naughty, but if you want to regulate boys, what do? You set limits and boundaries. So then, number two, teach boys manners. Boys can be naughty, but if boys are taught manners, they grow very well. Number three, model the right behavior. Teach your son how to dress, how to behave, how to talk. Number four, ingrain kindness and sensitivity to your boy. Let your boy know it is okay to be masculine, but also be sensitive, even to girls. Usi, nilikuwa naambia Jeremy siku nyingine alikuwa ananiambia kuna kasichana kama nikataa. Nikamwambia it is normal. Usikatusi. Nikamwambia my son, hata mimi nimekataliwa na wengi. Enda tu kaambie ni sawa. Hata kaambia utajua hujui. No. Just like that. Number five, provide adequate affection. Boys may not be emotional, but boys love to be held and loved. Number six, allow him freedom to be himself. Saa zingine when your son wants to cry, let him cry. Number seven, call out masculinity in him. Saa zingine, Jeremy, be a man, be courageous. Ukisikia mwalimu anaitana pale mbele nani anataka kuongea, stand up and go and talk. Number eight, teach him hygiene. Boys can be dirty and careless. Teach him, Jeremy, weka underwear pale, weka socks up. Those are the things you train him. Number 9, teach him to be responsible. Remember, Jeremy, one day you become a dad, one day you become a husband. Can you start kupatia so moja? Don't eat everything. Save money. Start running this thing early. Number 11, pick non-verbal communication. Unakumbuka yule mama alikuwa analia akasema kijana alikuwa too quiet, he never picked something. Number 12, praise and celebrate him. You know, kwanza as men, especially for any father here who has a daughter, there is a likelihood that you can lean towards your daughter so much and think that your boy can grow like a sugar cane on his own. He also needs your attention. Number 13, teach him on sexuality and testosterone effect. Haka kakitu kako katikati ya miguu kanasubuanga kila mtu. Jeremy, kaa chini tuongee. Acha kumwambia unaona hiyo pipi hiyo. Go hiyo. No. Discuss it. Let's like you can discuss a nose. Number 14, believe in him and tap his interest. Jeremy is a good footballer. He loves Man U. I can do everything to support him. Number 15, remind him that you are the authority and be assertive. How do you raise girls? 1, encourage girls to be assertive, to be strong and confident. Jewel, you must be confident. Number 2, help her overcome self-pity. Unajua girls wanakuanga wanajikompea. Kai daddy, unajua shule yetu kuna msichana akona nywele kubwa. You are certain and you tell her you are still beautiful. Number 3, prepare her sexism. Nilikuwa naambia my wife, teach Jewel how to handle herself. She's now a girl. How to sit properly, how to wear cutely, how to don't raise tomboys. Number 4, in the midst of boys, don't raise a tomboy. Kasichana saa zote hata kakiwa na nywele ni kukanyoa. And especially kwanza mimi nilikuwa na challenge. You know, Jewel and Jeremy, they wameachana na mwaka moja. That can tell you how active I am. But now, if I'm not careful, I can raise Jewel the way I'm raising what? Jeremy. Which is very bad because by the end of the day, I'm releasing a tomboy. And you know, issues in the lesbian community, majority of the lesbian girls are hot. Number 3, control an auxiliary nervosa. What is that? Girls who are overly possessed about how they look. Najua my wife deals in the beauty industry. Alikuwa ananiambia there's a lady alikuwa amekuja adungwe hii na hii zikuwe kubwa. Adungwe hii na hii zikuwe kubwa. Hii moja, sijui kama hiyo ni dawa ilitengenezwa na mtu who is left-handed. Hii tu ilikuwa kubwa na hii. Anataka hivi. I don't know who made those medicines. Number 6 is what? Strengthen her decision making. Children, when you say no to a boy, it is what? No. It is a no. Number 7, encourage her to take physical risk. Teach her how to ride bikes. Teach her how to be strong, even to work as a because there's a day there will be no man to rely on. Number 8, communicate unconditional love. I have come to realize women and girls have to be told they are loved and they are special. I usually tell Jewel, you are the most beautiful girl in Africa. She believes it. No, she's dark. I've never seen a girl like you. It is true. Number 9, coach her on sex and sexuality. I think by now the ladies who are here, your girls now knows about pads, menstrual cycle. I'm sure they don't have to be taught by the teachers. There's a school I went, madam, and the head teacher had a problem because this girl had very painful menstruations, alafu zingine very prolonged. The mother never told her anything about that. So every time she's in school, she feels very uncomfortable because of the other girls. When she hears the other girl's story and her, she feels as if she's what? Abnormal. So I hope the ladies, you have already talked to your girls about this, is it? Mm-hmm. Number 12, help her deal with her emotional struggles, fragility. Unajua girls, akisikia kagal kengine kanapendo na kaboy, they can have very funny games there. Help her develop self-strong esteem. Help her to deal with the media, body image, body shaming, and develop her faith in God. Next, Moko, because of time, I want to make sure I give them 5 categories of parenting. Can I continue? Yes. Sorry, let me not now move a lot so that I can stand here and give. Number 1, we have one thing we usually call the 2-pair parenting. 2-pair parenting ni gani? Mom and dad are available. Hii inakuanga mzuri, but it also has its own challenges. But I want to give you 4 ways to handle this so that, number 1, anytime you are correcting your son or your daughter, do it as a team. Nilikuwa naambia mawife itakuwa vibaya mimi nikicorrect my son, alafu anakimbia nyuma yako na wewe unamsupport. That one destroys children. Kama babako amekucorrect, there is a time nakujanga home unasikia Jasmine akiniambia, "Ni babu amenipiga." Sasa nataka nao kutupiganisha na nani? Mama anamwambia, "Si umeniambia kuja nikuongeze yangu moja." We are partnering as a team. Number 2, don't discuss each other in front of the child. Unaona babako? Si unaona kanika hasikiagi vizuri kitu nao. Each other in front of the child. Na hata sasa umekosana. Kwanza nyinyi ladies mnakuanga na hiyo shida. Especially ladies with their sons. When mmekosana na babake, my son, usiwahi kuwa kama babako. Si unaona hajielewi mtoto. Nawaambia because nawaona. Number 3, don't have favorites. Isikuwe hao watoto wanapendwa na baba, hao wanapendwa na nani? Na mama. All children to be treated what? Equally. Don't allow children to cause in-between conflicts. Mostly ina happen yanga whereby unakuta kama husband na wife wamekosana, wife akitoroka, kuna watoto wanatorokaga nao na kuna wenye anafanyana kanini? It is not good to do that. Toroka na wote ama mbaki mimi wote. Is it okay? What are you supposed to do in single parenting? If you are a single parent, let me give you some tactics about the areas you go through challenges. Number 1, seek help in case you are overwhelmed. Especially when you are raising a boy, you have never done it before and you feel overwhelmed, call a man, maybe your elder brother or your uncle. As long as you know their values are right, tell him we'll be parenting with you. Number 2, deliberately create time. Remember you are alone. So when you're unatafuta pesa, when you're unatafuta school fees, because without you knowing, unconsciously you can be very busy. Don't comfort yourself unaambia watoto wako, si unanielewa na wanda sionekani kwa sababu ninyi natafutia school fees. No. Deliberately create what? Akiniongelesheni. Number 3, don't self-pity. Never think because you are alone that you are inadequate. There are some children who are, in fact, research imeonyeshana children from single parents are doing better from two-parent parents. So you still can do it on your own. After all, nashangaa nikiambia every parent here who is a parent of who is a two-parent parent, everybody is a candidate of what? Of single parent. As I'm seated here, I can die. Today my wife can become what? A a single parent, because you can be a single parent either by choice or by circumstances. Number 5, find a way to break loneliness. Usikue saa zote it is either uko kazi ama uko home. Watoto you'll have burnout. Have friends outside your family. Mtu mwenye mnaongea, wacha saa zote uko kazini, ndio huyo sasa ebasaba, unakimbia nyumbani. Saa zote unashida kwa nyumba. No. Have friends outside what? Home. Number 5 is what? Build confidence in your child and let your children never feel victim because they are from a single what? Number 6 is what? Don't introduce multiple partners to your children. Tunadate na wewe leo, unadileta kwako nyumbani, unamwambia huyu anaitwa Paul, anaweza kuwa daddy. Unakutana na Paul. Next time, huyu anaitwa Kilonzo, ni mzuri kuliko Paul. Unakutana na Kilonzo. Unaleta Musiba. Musiba ni mzuri kuliko Paul na Kilonzo ni mjuu. Hata katoto kako kana shida, katafuta LCM. Yeah. Next one. Step parent. In case you are a step parent, in case you are a step parent, please, unalea watoto ambao si wewe ulizaa biologically, avoid favorism, don't use demeaning remarks, slowly show open treatment, usiinsia ni unatreat wale wako vizuri kuliko wengine, connect them with the biological ties. If watoto wenye mliachana nao they want to see their fathers or their mother, allow them to do that and don't demean biological parents. Next muko because of time. Naona please, I think nikumaliza message kwa PARENT. Nikumaliza namaliza. Nikimaliza NNT. Please, about environment conscious. Be environment conscious, ladies and gentlemen. Right now our society is too much sexualized. Number 2, the rainbow movement is on the increase. The gay movement. You need to know that. The resource of cultism is on the increase. Halloween is here recruiting our children into that. Nitaonyesha. There is too much violence. Be careful of what your children are watching. Kuna kitu nitaonyesha hapa. There is also a lot of sodomy and rape. Please don't expose your children to even some of the relatives. Number 7, mental illness. Hata children are getting stressed. Be very careful. Drug abuse and exposure. Hata watoto wakienda bash, waambie wakuwe very careful of the food they are eating. Secularism. People believing they can do without God. Number 9, broken families. Nashinaka nikisema, today I know my wife can do without me. Nowadays women are very empowered. It is true you can do without me, but can my children do without a father? So that you know, before watu useme I can do without you. Wale nini unanipatia? Hiyo kitu tu no. Anatutusi yake. Hiyo pipe. Ndio tunaongea. Unaniita tu ya pipe. Another one is what called social media addiction and influence. Momo, let's move. Do you know this? Please go and do you know this girl called Momo? This cartoon is imefanya watoto wengi wajinyoke. I wish I can have time to watumie video. Haka toto. In fact, let me show you what this girl does. Next. Ndio hii. Anaambianga watoto what he instructs children. Take a razor. Cut yourself with a razor. Draw a hole around your hand. You know hizi vitu zote. Very cut your lip. There is a cut out. Kaliwambia cut your lip. Cut the whole of it. By the time the mother was coming, it is a cartoon. I have a video there. I wish I'll have time to teach you that. Next, Momo. You know this is what I'm talking about, cartoons. You know this guy? Yes. Snoopy Doggy Dog. One of the songs that is known with was called Dogs and Nutters. Little did you know that this was an Illuminati song. What does it mean? Satan is God. So zingine watoto wako wanasikiliza, you need to be very careful. Another one more I teach them. Next. Let me teach them next without using this. This cowboy is one of the most famous musicians we have today. Who can tell me his name? Yeah?
It's called Exxon.
Unaona amejidecorate TV is because from the world of darkness, he has been empowered to release the spirit of gazing. Unajua watu kama hawa, I wish I would remember them. Mtu kama Beyonce. Beyonce's name akiwa kwa stage si Beyonce ni gani? Is a word. Yeah, Queen B. Another one is a name. Sasha Fierce, is it?
Yes, Sasha Fierce.
Yes. Kuna mwingine anaitwa Roman ni nani? Okay, wacha niwabirie pesa muone mkizijua 500. You see, these people when they are coming from, you see, you guys you don't know. In the spiritual world, what happens? For you to succeed in the music industry, it is either the Holy Spirit helps your song to move, even though the Holy Spirit, a demonic spirit can help you. Naona mnaonanga wakisimama hapa mbele, there is another spirit that drives them. Naona unasikianga wakienda huko chini, wanafanyanga a lot of sacrifice. So now this guy, the spirit that he has, tunaona huko ameandikwa 666. The spirit he has, ndio unaona meno yake kokara divo, is the spirit of gayism and lesbianism. Unakuta yua sana ameshamweka earphones kwa masikio, anamsikiza tu kama kawaida, but what your son or your daughter doesn't know, in them they are getting into this. So mtoto wako unasikia tu ameanza kujifanya masturbation. Nakwambia, my dad, mom, nimeanza kusikia tu I'm not attracted to girls. Why? Your son opened a door of the spirit without them knowing. And that's why nataka mwende mu-understand how. There is another guy, I wish nilikuwa nimeweka hapo, huyu mnaita sijui extentious. Yeye alikuwa na spirit of anger and violence. Mtoto wako akimsikiza, unaona tu mtoto wako anakuwa angry, he can do anything. So that's what I'm talking about. Please understand this music world. How do you make sure that your son is not addicted to this media? Next, move on. Social media addiction. For social media, there are 4 things that your children will find out. 1, cyberbullying. Number 2, stalking and ignore. Unajua mtoto anasikianga aje akiambia watu hai na hakuna mtu anamjibu. Anasikia ni kama amechukiwa. Hai. Sinasema hai. Hata uandike 500, nobody answers you. They feel ignored. The social media disconnects your children with the parents. Due to lack of emotional connection, your children can feel depleted. How can a parent help? Number 1, plug out. Mimi nitawaambia at your age right now, please don't buy your children phones. They will destroy them right now. Your children are not mature enough to get to TikTok. Number 2, create outdoor activities for your children. Kama sasa venye unaona tutoto tule, those children are more better there than on phones. Number 3, note and regulate addiction. Ukikuta katoto kako kamekuwa so much addicted, withdraw it. There is a time Jasmine kamekuwa addicted mpaka kadole kake kanakaa hivi. Because kanashidanga tu hivi. Number 4, don't introduce overuse of any gadgets too early. Put rules and regulation. Mogo N and T. Nikumaliza tunamaliza nurture values. Let's raise children who are driven by what? Values. What are some of the values that I want you to teach your children? Number 1, honesty. Number 2, manners. Number 3, responsibility. Nikikupatia sweta uende nayo shule, it is your responsible to know iko wapi na urudishe. Si kuenda shule uko na kama bili za viatu unarudi bila. You know, there's a time hata Jewel alikuanga hivyo. Kuna mtu na pencil anakuja amekwambia because they know I can provide. I taught them you must be what? Responsible. Teach them to respect teachers. Mwalimu akikuongelesha weka hivi. Ni vibaya mwalimu anakuongelesha unakaa tu hivi. But the way you stand, you know, the way you talk to a child. Si wewe, mama hata si wewe. Inaweza karusha chini ka chole spiral. Number 5, teach them to love others. Number 6, teach them to consider others. Number 7, teach them to persevere. Teach them to be courageous, decision making and financial decision. Mungu, I wanted us to finish with this one. Exactly. A parent is a team player. Hivyo namaliza nao niseme hivi. Your children spend more time in school more than any other place. Sisi ni kweli. Hata wangu wanakuanga wametoka by 6 na wanakujanga jioni 6. So I wanted to request you, if there is something you can do to Jewel School. Jewel, is it a school? Jewel House School. I request you to serve your school on these 5 areas. Number 1, support the school program. Not that watoto wenu wako huku the whole day. If they were at home, ungenunua hata data wakae home. Now that they're in school, support the best. Because unajua hii CBC, our children competences will be measured by this. For example, right now, do you know your director has to pay me for me to come in? Me, I would request, let's have these regular sessions. Na saa zingine, now that you cannot do it, tell me even to come and talk to your children. Even if not me, call somebody else. These are the things that our children are going through in the society. Number 2 is what? Partner in what? Guidance and discipline. Ukiitwa shule uambie mtoto wako ana misbehave, wacha kukuja kama una reprimand walimu. Akifanya hizo zote mlikuwa wapi? Wewe mwalimu huna macho na unaonekana you don't do like that. Partner with them. What about number 3? Give ideas. Unakumbuka last time nikikuja huku nikawaambia ile shule watoto wangu walikuwa every time ningeenda shule nyingine nione a good idea. Nilikuwa nakuja nawaambia, the owner of that school alikuwa anaitwa Teacher Mashari. Nikamwambia Teacher Mashari, there's something I've seen in dual school. Why don't we try it here? I was doing it because my children were there. Teacher Mashari alifanya mistake. Atanipatia idea akaniambia, na Mr. Kariuki, because of those good ideas, mutalipa school fees. I wish you could hear every time, Mr. Mashari, there are more ideas. Number 4 is what we call synergy parenting. Madam is here for the sake of your children. Let's do it together. Number 5 is what? Don't discuss or scold teachers with children. Please never do that. Usiwahi ongelesha. Hata kama mtoto wako amekuja akakwambia ubaya wa mwalimu, mwambie I will not discuss it until I hear from the teacher. Ama mwambie niachie hiyo, that is for adults, let's discuss. Ya mwisho, supervise assignments. Please usifanyie mtoto wako nini? Assignment. CBC wants our children to grow in competence and skill. Ya mwisho, ladies and gentlemen, be involved in what? Your children academic progress. I am so grateful to have come to talk to you. Have you done something? Yes. Clap and clap and clap again. I told Madam that out of the love I have for this school, I need to muulize maswali, but muulize maswali mkijua na ngojewa shule ya mtoto wangu. Is it clear? Nyinyi mkue na utu. Is it clear? It started at 8, but because of the respect I have for Madam, I came here. Have you benefited?
A teacher touched the girl's breast, so we actually dismissed that teacher. So, because of that closeness the mother had with the daughter, the girl came from school, she confided with the mother. And then she told the mother, but don't tell anyone. So the mother told us, it is because I'm a friend. So I think what you are saying is correct. We have to be very close to these girls, because these teachers, not you, but they can touch.
Yes.
And the mother really cried.
Yes.
Because after the touching, parents, it will have moved to sexual intercourse.
Yes.
So we really appreciate what you are saying, because it is reality and it's what is happening. So let's empower girls and boys.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when do we stop doing that? I want to know.
Let me tell you, and I'm sure you know that. Thank you, Madam. Even us men, we love to be loved. But I'm saying, please don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Una kiss your son here. By the way, do you know hata nilikuwa nasoma psychologist mwingine alikuwa anasema men should never kiss their daughters here. There is something I want you to go. Hii msome, wacha niwaonyeshe nimesoma. Andika hii. Hii kitu itawafundisha, and then muandike Oedipus complex. O-E-D-I-P-U-S. Ukipua tu free usome Oedipus complex. This is a story of where a son was so jealous about his dad, he killed his dad and married the mother. Oedipus complex. Here it is the closeness between a mother and what? And a boy. Should be controlled. Ya pili, for fathers who have daughters, and then msome kitu inaitwa Electra complex. Electra. E-L-E-C-T-R-A. Electra complex. So that you fathers who have girls, you realize you should also love them, but at a what? Your love, in fact what I'm saying, your love should be natural love, not affectionate what? Love. So what kumuhag ni kama, and especially for single mothers who have sons, there is a way you transfer the loneliness to what? To your sons. It is very dangerous. Utaitana siku moja. Yes, ma'am.
We reinforce. So we are so thankful, Paul. I have enjoyed it thoroughly. Now let me speak for myself. I have actually enjoyed it thoroughly. Please let's have the notes and those videos that you promised and you didn't show us. I was counting. They are now.
I'll send you today. We'll make sure you send them. I'll help them.
Thank you, Baba Levine.
Morning. 2 minutes. We are going to appreciate the school and our speaker. And this is how we're going to do it. Tutaanza na rasha rasha. kisha twende mvua, kisha twende rada. Sawa?
Yes.
Rasha ni hapa. Together.
What the role of parenting is. What we do in school is so little. I mean, these children who commit suicide, their parents have invested money, good schools, a lot of it, but what do we get at the end of it? So we really want to encourage us to walk this journey together. We see so much from these children. I don't know how we can tell you so that you understand in what age and era your children are living. They are in so much danger, parents. So much. One of the things maybe that I can just emphasize from what the psychologist has said is what we say in front of the parents. The things the children tell us, we just wonder. And if it is not their parents who said this, who did?